All right, welcome back to Three Swords Gaming. So I've been on a very long hiatus, largely in part to the fact that
It's
oh,
time
shut
to
up,
open
Peitha.
Nayos
Largely
gates.
because of that, because this entire
The
release.
grunts used their old defenses
So
against them.
Secrets of the
Nayos and
Obscure
Calvin wouldn't
was
give me a
great
second.
here. Secrets of the Obscure was great here. I enjoyed it. And then we got to Inner Nayos, and it's awful. Like it's not good at all. There are a lot of reasons. I'm not necessarily going to go into the reasons right now. The story falls off completely. It's a lot like Icebreed Saga. Um, the story falls off. The events fall off. The map is not good. Like there are just a lot of things. Uh, and I don't want to say Secrets of Obscure was like a complete failure. They introduced some new weapons and they gave people Skyscale, like more readily accessible. And those are good things. But in general, I've been away from Guild Wars 2 because, or spent some time away from Guild Wars 2 because I just didn't like it. I didn't like what they were doing. And then gradually I came back, but I wasn't making any videos because I didn't really have any reason to. Still don't, aside from the fact that I want to finish the story playthrough before Isle of Janthier, the Janthier Wilds or whatever it's called, comes out, because maybe that'll be good. Probably it's going to be the same as Secrets of the Obscure. It's probably going to follow largely a similar model. They have said that they're going to release maps slightly differently, but at the end of the day, it's still going to be three maps. Um, and three maps in a year is still one less map than like Living World Season 3, Living World Season 4 gave us. And the maps are less substantive, so ultimately we're paying for something that is less than, in my opinion, what we were getting under the old model. I the mini expansions are good because they've made Guild Wars 2 profitable, but as a player, they don't necessarily measure up to what Living World gave us. So it's kind of a step backwards in that regard. Be that as it may, let's get the story knocked out. So where we left off at was um, that we've gained a foothold this much in Inner Nayos as we seek to resolve the issue of these Cryptus invasions into Tyria by taking the fight into Nayos and helping Peitha, who's this like demon princess, overthrow the demon king and take control of the demon realm. And the very last thing we should have done, if I remember correctly, is defeat Hator in here, and then we were waiting to gain access to all this. Essentially, just waiting for the next release, and that came and went, and I just didn't care that much. But now let's pick it up. Let's keep rolling, and let's catch up on the story. So, Secrets of the Obscure, War Council. Let's do it.
Oh, Wayfinder. I've missed our little talks.
Yeah, I haven't, to be honest.
I'm certain of that. How are things on the front lines?
The moment of opportunity has revealed itself, but there is much to be done before we can seize it. One of Isgarin's paths has found his way here, and he only seems interested in hearing from you. We are gathered at the war camp. Don't keep us waiting, dear.
So I am curious. I do wish I knew what their original vision for Peitha was and whether or not they altered that at any point in time. Because definitely up until this point, like it was still very conceivable that Peitha was going to turn on us in some way. And whether or not that happens, we'll see. But like they're definitely angling one direction here, and I don't know if it's what they wanted or how they wanted the player to perceive it versus how the player perceived it may in fact be two different things. We'll have to kind of as we go through, we'll talk a little bit more about that. But I do wonder about that. Galrath, what's up, buddy?
Wayfinder,
Galrath.
Galrath. Didn't expect to see you here.
didn't expect to be here, but somebody has to keep an eye on this mess for Isgarin, and it fell to me.
He still has his doubts then?
Plenty, but you'll get to plead your case. Let's get to it.
So within the Astral Ward, I think the skeptics are pretty justified. You know, this has been an enemy of theirs for a very long time, and suddenly, for that to flip completely is maybe a bit of a reach.
There is much to cover, and our window will close if we don't move quickly.
Alright, so what's the situation, Peitha? What's going on here?
What's the situation?
The first barrier has fallen, so we can breach farther into their defenses to gain more ground. But more ground means more to cover, and we're stretched thin as it is. One way or another, we need more soldiers. Once we have them, we'll be able to pressure their last lines of defense as we prepare for an assault on the Citadel.
Okay. So if we need more soldiers, we got a couple options here: Astral Ward or the local Cryptus. Well, it's their fight, so what about the local Cryptus?
What about the local Cryptus?
Epoch's hold on this world is more tenuous than it may appear. My people fear him, but there are limits to the control that fear grants. What we need is someone that they respect. Someone they will follow, even against Epoch.
You mean General Nefus?
Okay, we're just gonna toss that out and leave it hanging. All right. Well then, what about the Astral Ward?
Can we get the Astral Ward's full support?
Isgaren's answer is no. We're still recovering from the Cryptus attack, and this is not our battle.
What happens here will affect Tyria.
That's why Isgaren has been kind enough to allow the volunteers to support me. If you want the full backing of the Astral Ward, prove to us that Peitha can prevent the Cryptus from being a threat to Tyria.
Peitha has already proved herself to...
Calm now, Ramses. He will get the proof he desires in time.
All right. You know, it's a shame that those two options were offered at the same time. We could go either way because we can see now the sequence that we took them in is a little bit weird because now we can ask about Nefus. All right, so we'll circle back around. Ramses, who's this Nefus character?
Who is Nefus?
Epoch's former second in command. He has always been the more respected of the two, which is why he's still alive. Epoch has kept him quiet and contained, but it can't kill him. Nefus commands too much loyalty from his soldiers.
Where he goes, the masses will follow. It's time we track the old general down. This may take some time, but the war has widened, and there is need for your talents elsewhere on the battlefield. Gather what information you can as you assist our forces in the fight. Once he is found, I will have use for you again.
Okie dokie. Use for me again. Well, that's what is my role in this? Okay. Ramses. So before we talk to Ramses, a little bit of an interesting note here, and something that I think we may not see again in the immediate future out of ArenaNet, which is, I think part of the reason that this is kind of an uninteresting release, or really the last three releases of Secrets of the Obscure are so uninteresting. This is unrelatable. This is not particularly likable. And Ramses is not like the worst written character, ever or anything like that. He's written the same as all the other characters in Guild Wars 2. But the form is such that it becomes an unrelatable weird thing. I mean, that is not like something that we find ourselves caring about, right? So I don't know that it's like a weird little kind of abstract observation, but I do think that the appearance of the Cryptus didn't help in terms of Secrets of the Obscure's reception. And I think there are a lot of players who would argue with that, but I still think I'm right. All right, Ramses. We have an opportunity in front of us. We'd best do what we can to squeeze every drop from it. Sure, that checks out. What can you tell me about this Nefus character?
Tell me about Nefus.
I served under him myself for a long time. A brilliant strategist, peerless warrior, and a noble leader. Those things made him a liability to our gluttonous king. He couldn't be trusted to follow the more gruesome orders. Nefus commands too much respect to be simply disposed of. So instead, Epoch forced him into retirement. But he is watched closely. Epoch knows that any movement with the general involved would be a real threat.
Okie dokie. Well, Nephis sounds like our guy then, I guess. So, one of my issues, as I can just continue to list issues with this release, this is another, as we've had pop up several times throughout the Guild Wars 2 story, another like insurgency or insurrection type storyline. Um, as has been the case in the past, they struggle a little bit to give it the breadth that it needs in order to make sense. In fact, I would argue the Icebrood Saga Civil War type thing actually came closer to having the breadth it needed. Um, so if I use the comparison with Icebrood Saga in a negative way to say, oh, the Secrets Obscure was same as Icebrood Saga in a bad way, Icebrood Saga in some ways, the first half of Icebrood Saga was better. First half of Icebrood Saga was better by far than the second half of Secrets of the Obscure, but maybe in spite of the Dragon Response missions, when all was said and done, maybe or Icebrood Saga was better than Secrets of the Obscure. Period. All right, Galrath. They took that better than I expected. Still, it looks like you're gonna ask me something. Go on then, out with it. Real friendly guy, Galrath. What's Iskarin gonna do if we fail?
What is Iskarin's plan if we fail?
The total destruction of Nayos and the Cryptus, most likely. It's what I advised in the first place. We have no reason to believe they can be peaceful. And the risk, if you're wrong, is the destruction of Tyria. Better to not take that risk. You have too much faith in them. Far more than they've earned. But like I said, you've got your chance to prove me wrong. Better get to it. One last thing, Wayfinder. Isgarin is still allowing volunteers to join you here. The next group will be arriving soon. They're here because they believe in you, not Peitha. Don't waste their lives.
Alright, so I guess we're... Galrath is simultaneously right, but also seemingly advocating for Xenocide, so... I don't know, you can go either way with that one, I guess. I'll leave that up to you. Arena. What's up, girl? Alright, I expected that Isgarden wouldn't want to commit more resources here. Still, at least we have a chance to prove ourselves now. So Arena's interesting, right? Because Astral Ward, and thus you would think she'd be very much on Galrath's side of things. But because she was stranded here and Peitha helped her survive, and they were allied at that point, it is also understandable that she's on Peitha's side and sees what Peitha's capable of. So not eager to get back to Tyria then? After all, she's been stranded here. Maybe she wants to go home?
Aren't you eager to get back to Tyria now that the gate is open?
Of course. But I need to make sure that Tyria will have a future. And that means finishing this first. The front line is where I belong. Where I can do the most good. I'll leave when the war is over. Besides, Ramses and Peitha saved my life. As long as they need my help, I have an obligation to offer it.
Alright, well that makes some sense. Nothing there is like particularly weird. Okay. Will Peitha's plan to convince the Cryptus actually work? I don't know why Arena would have more insight into this than us, but we need a vehicle for exposition, so Arena it is.
Will Peitha's plan to convince the Cryptus actually work?
I don't know. So far, the Cryptus here have been beaten down for centuries. They must want change. Fear can only keep people under your thumb for so long. Especially when you start killing them indiscriminately. Living under Eparch may actually be a fate worse than death. At least with us, they have a chance to survive.
Okie dokie. Before you go, would you make an appearance for our new volunteers? You're pretty popular, you know. I am pretty popular. It's probably because of these fantastic threads that I'm wearing. I mean, look at that. I look amazing. Alright, let's go meet these new volunteers. If they're volunteers in like an unsanctioned fight, are these like mercenaries? What's going on here?
Fresh batch of volunteers for you, ready to face the demon hordes.
Ah.
Frode, you're an unexpected sight.
There's battles to be fought, Wayfinder. I may be getting older, but I still never retreat. Besides, I needed to check in with our forward group, see how they were handling it. Triage is in order, troops are looking disciplined, and you've secured a solid foothold in the area. You've done an excellent job here, soldier. Couldn't have done it better myself.
Thank you, Warden.
Well, I need to get out into the field, but I'm sure Arena will be happy to get you up to speed.
Of course, Wayfinder.
I knew this place couldn't beat you. Too much of your mother in you for that.
So, this specifically, it took me a little time to appreciate it, but now I do appreciate it. So, we learn at the end of the initial release, and again, like, it comes up a few times, that part of advancing in the Astral Ward means going through a process that costs you your memories. So, for the longest time, we think that Arena is dead during the initial release, right? During the initial Secrets of the Obscure portion. And then we find out she's not. She's here. So as I was doing the story playthrough for that part, I was kind of hard on them for the way Frode was a little bit ambivalent to that, and how we all were pretty casual about Arena being lost. And then we find her here, and now this reunion seems a little bit lacking emotion. But then at the end there, he mentions mom, and so I was kind of conflicted on it. I'm like, oh, they're really kind of blasé about this whole thing. And then the more I thought about, well, because of those memories being robbed and then some of them coming back and maybe some of them not, it's natural to lose a little closeness with someone, even that someone that potentially was close to you. And maybe that's reflective of that. So I actually think there's some subtlety there that I didn't appreciate the first time. And maybe I kind of like that. Ramses, you got some more to talk about? Has it been difficult for you to convince Cryptus to change sides?
Has it been difficult to convince
Alright.
the Cryptus to change sides?
A mighty struggle, yes. Understand, it is not because the majority are loyal to the tyrant. They are not. The problem is one of fear, of terror. They have seen what happens to those who cross him. They don't yet believe we can protect them from his ravenous appetites. That's why we must show them that loyalty to Epoch is no shield from his capriciousness. He will gladly devour his home.
So true, actually. Do you believe that Peitha can keep Nayos peaceful? Yeah, so there's the $1,000,000 question. That's the actual question, right?
Do you believe that Peitha can keep Nayos peaceful?
I believe in her quest for a new Nayos, yes. Or I would not have pledged my horns to her. But can the Cryptus accept peace at all? That's a more heady question, isn't it? Epoch has ruled this place since your world was young. This is the only order the Cryptus have ever known. I believe a better path exists, but it has to be discovered, and then we have to travel down it. That will take time.
Okay, so I guess, are we being asked for patience here? I guess that's what that is, right? Who else besides Nephis do we need to account
Who
for?
else beside Nephis do we need to account for?
Epoch has a few other generals he can still call on, and all of them are vicious creatures in their own right. We've heard talk that Queen Labris might be slithering out of the Citadel, which would be a significant escalation. There are also the twin generals, Alcaeus and Xantheron, but Epoch likes to keep them close for his own comfort. Let us hope it stays that way. I've seen the horrors they are capable of when their reins are removed.
All right, let's take a moment before we go and talk to Galrath a little bit more. We hear a lot about the battles of the Cryptus here, about the different generals and Labris and like their past feats. Who was that against? Was that against the Astral Ward? Was that against someone else? Like, there's a question there that will go unanswered, and I am kind of curious about it. It's unnecessary for the advancement of this story, but I'm curious. All right, I'm not going to read these questions because every time I do, she says them word for word.
Iskarin is too skeptical of Peitha.
Ooh, bold
Your
statement.
misunderstanding is Garen's concern. Would Peitha be less of a threat to Tyria than Epoch? Almost certainly. But how many Astral Ward lives will it cost to roll those dice? If it had been good news that needed delivering, would Isgarin have sent me to do it?
Fair, Fair.
You're staying in Nayos?
As long as I need to. I'll be keeping an eye on things and sending reports back to the wizards. You know how this works. Show me that our soldiers are in good hands, and you'll get the resources you need.
Galrath is like NATO. Okay. Let's move forward. Now, is this going to be the next green bar? We're going to face several green bars as we get caught up and finish the Secrets of the Obscure story. For some reason, yeah, here we go. Complete events in Inner Nayos. I don't know why it is that with this particular release, with Secrets of the Obscure, or this expansion, it's the entire expansion, not just the release, that they suddenly felt the need to lean so heavily on the green bar, more so than they like ever had before, in my opinion. And it does not feel good, not even a little bit, in my opinion. Um, oh, okay. Well, yep, I'm here for you, so let's do this. So now we're going to need to do some events. So when I edit this video, I will cut out the green bar part because it is terrible. It does not feel good. And nobody wants to watch it, that's for sure. So we'll just stop at this point in terms of my voiceover and pick it back up when the green bar is complete. Alright, so we are back. The green bar is full. And the last thing that happened, enter, because there is a little bit of dialogue while you're filling the green bar. Okay, so we're going to miss out on that little bit of dialogue for our story playthrough. It is, in my opinion, pretty inconsequential. I don't think that we're really missing something that we like desperately need. The last thing that we heard when we filled the green bar is Galrath saying, hey, I need you to come back to me. I got something that I need your help with. And so we're going to go ahead and finish this rift because we're right here. We might as well. And then as soon as we're done with this rift, then we'll go find out what it is that Galrath needs so bad. What do we got? We got 17 seconds left. We can wait 17 seconds, right? Surely. While we're waiting, finishing this rift, let's talk about rifts. Now that Secrets of the Obscure is complete, and if I'm going to start this video by talking about, the fact that I didn't think Secrets of the Obscure was very good, then let's go ahead and talk about rifts. At the introduction of Secrets of the Obscure, I stated that it was my opinion that rifts are non-content, that the community's kind of being they're having one pulled over on them with rifts, that it's barely content at all, and it's like the flagship content for an expansion. I still feel the same way. With Secrets of the Obscure now done, I consider rifts to be non-content. And I don't particularly enjoy rifts. I stopped to do this one because it was right there, and they were like, well into it. And it was an opportunity to get some loot. And we can do something while we talk about how much rifts suck. But for clarity, I genuinely feel like rifts really suck. Really genuinely do. And that's too bad, right? I've heard other, some of the more popular content creators for the game talk about how they think rifts serve a necessary role, and they weren't able to. ArenaNet wasn't able to make it work, but it's something that the game needs to have in a way, or at least that was kind of what was suggested in the way they said it. Maybe that's the case. Could be. Could absolutely be. I don't know if I would necessarily agree at this point in time, but I suppose I could be sold on the idea. Kind of the way it was presented, or the way it was described when that person was talking about it, was that it's a type of content that can exist when nothing else is going on. Like when you're looking for something on the map and there's nothing going on, and you need something going on, and so bam, you could just spawn a rift yourself, and now there's content. Okay. Alright. I guess I'll buy that for $1, but if they're not fun, then did it work? And I think the answer remains no. So I don't know that I still don't know that I like that, and I don't know that I would agree with the assessment. Um, but okay, whatever, man. There we go. See, Rift done. Great content. Loved it. Loved every second of it. And I'm being super sarcastic. Okay. Let's get over there. Let's find Galras. So this is the area that was inaccessible last time we did our story playthrough. Now we can head over here and get into it and explore this area. If you were hoping that somehow this area that was previously covered is different in some way than the Nayos we had seen thus far, you're going to be real disappointed. It's not different in any way whatsoever. It's more the same. And it feels the same to play. And that's kind of a letdown. Not optimal. Galrath, what do you got?
Wayfinder. Good. Right on time.
If you say
What
so.
is it?
I've learned that there are a number of scrolls and tablets here that describe ancient fighting techniques. Huh. Might not add up to much, but if they're any good, it would be wise to add them to the ward's arsenal. I've got some scouting reports about where they might be, but I need to keep monitoring things here for Isgaran.
Okay, locate the ancient artifacts. Now, not only is the green bar filler, and actually takes form up here as another green bar, but now one of the things that is supposed to be great about this expansion, which is the introduction of new weapons for each class. So we're playing on a ranger right now. The weapon that was introduced for ranger is maces, dual maces. If you choose to wield 2 maces, or you can wield 1, or I don't care. You wield 5 if you want. Yeah, whatever. Those new weapons that were introduced, what we're doing right now is unlocking that, and that's part of the story. Like, that's filling the gap of what is really a notable lack of like good content for this expansion. So we're gonna fill that by just having people within the story run around, find 5 things that are just laying around, and we're gonna call that like a story step. And then they unlock the weapons, and you've played good content, I guess. So talking about, see, we could read that. We're not going to, because it just doesn't matter. Like, who cares? But I guess we could have read it, and it would have said things, and we'd be super happy with our lives, I guess. Yeah, I'm just that's a consistent theme throughout Secrets of the Obscure. Fill a green bar. Do a thing to unlock something that was advertised as being part of the expansion anyway. Fill another green bar. Like that's almost everything for the last 2 releases can be described as that. Like, green bar, do a filler thing, and then finally a small story chapter, and then repeat. Really wish this elite wasn't like right on top here. That's less than optimal.
Wither. Feel the fury.
Alright. Can we get our thing now? Thank you. Alright. Where's that other one? Oh, that's right. It's way over on the ledge. Way over on this ledge. And how do we make it feel more like content? As someone approaches it, an ambush pops out. Great. Oh, and now that I've said that, it didn't do it. Usually as you approach those things, you'll get like 3 or 4 enemies. That's what that elite was on the previous ones, associated with that little ambush. Alright, and then the last one's just going to require us to spend currency. In fact, we could actually waypoint over there, but... So the meta events with the last 2 releases, not very good. As a result, the maps are already pretty empty. And so you see this, right? You see people like crying out in map chat for folks to come join the meta. The big meta, like the last one, the one that is supposed to be like the thing, not good. Not good. Not fun. Not even a little bit. For several notable reasons, and it could be that it was a little bit of bad design, or it could be that they, if you're being particularly cynical, some of the things that look like bad design might actually be them pushing like other stuff. Like the waypoint's super far away, so if you die, it's really hard to get back in the fight. And it might just be that they want people to go back, play End of Dragons, and ooh, that's real unfortunate. And get the emergency waypoint. I don't know. Maybe it's not that. I don't know. All right, there we go.
Another personal victory.
And so now we've unlocked new weapon proficiencies for all our characters. That was presumably something we got when we bought the expansion, but that's fine. Where does this thing go? Oh, I don't even have that unlocked.
Fire away.
Acknowledged. Firing.
Ooh, Arena was really into that. Really into that. Alright, Galrath. I went and found the things.
Back already? Easy to see why you always get picked for these kind of things. I'll have these sent back for translation and study. With any luck, we'll be able to start training with them soon. If you want to start experimenting with these techniques before then, be my guest.
Unsettling news, Wayfinder. Our scouts report that they are being shadowed. Their eyes are upon us now. We must move quickly if we are to beat the spider to our fly.
Okie dokie. And green bar. Complete events in Nayos surrounds. Now this green bar is particularly frustrating. Particularly frustrating. Nayos surrounds is this region right here. It is not this. And even doing events in here, not all the events advance the green bar. So I've had this green bar in the past on other accounts take like an hour and a half to fill. As I, flail around, darting from spot to spot on the map, trying desperately to find a way to advance the green bar because I just want to be done. I just want to advance in the story, and just so frustrating. Really unfortunate. And you get a lot of events like this. Like, here's an opportunity. This event, as I recall, will advance the green bar. However, by yourself, this event is difficult. And depending on how much time we got left, 5 minutes left, it might be a tall order. We're going to give it a try. Well, not in the video, though. We will not include this in the video because that's not fun. We'll come back when the green bar is full. And I'll let you know whether or not I succeeded at this. Bet you that I don't. Bet you that I don't. Alright, we'll come back in a little bit. Alright, so we should be just about done with the green bar. Assuming that, that this actually counts. Which is always, I find with this particular green bar to be a valid question of whether or not it will. Alright, good.
Wayfinder, we'll be starting our offensive soon.
We hesitated as I watched those turrets fall. Hope
What's going on? Okay, so the meta is about to start, which we are not going to participate in because I want to keep trucking along with the story, and yeah, and it would just take a whole bunch of time and wouldn't feel good. So we're not going to do that. Instead, we're going to move forward. Now that we have filled the secondary bar, we're going to go meet Nephis, right? Convince General Nephis to join Peitha's cause. Okay, let's do that. Ramses.
Masterfully done, Wayfinder. You've reduced the local loyalists from a horde to a swarm. That should afford us the few minutes we'll require.
Lowering that barrier really kicked the beehive. Are you sure we'll have enough time?
It's only going to get worse, I'm afraid. Besides, the chance we'll even be allowed to speak to the General is slim at best. Should that happen, then yes, I believe we will have more than enough time for Peitha's proposal to be summarily rejected. Possibly even enough to retreat before this place is teeming with loyalists.
Pessimism doesn't suit you, Ramses.
Once you meet Nephis, I think you'll discover my pessimism to be realism. Come, Peitha waits ahead. Be on your guard.
I actually kind of wish we'd get a little bit more of that out of Ramses. That would be kind of nice. As like a counterpoint to Peitha and her constant like, Wayfinder. Ramses kind of playing the role of the quote-unquote realist would be maybe like a nice thing. But we don't get that, so whatever. Peitha, what's up?
Ah, there you are. Shall we?
Lead the way. What's your plan? Ramses didn't seem too optimistic about Nephis hearing your argument, let alone agreeing with it.
I assure you, that is a gross oversimplification, my lady.
You are right to be concerned. Nephis will not be charmed or deceived. I aim to speak to him general to general, away from the influence of onlookers.
Alright. Well, let's do it then, Peitha. And if you're curious about the green bars...
Loyalists, step aside and we will allow you to live. Join the Lady Peitha's cause and...
You are Peitha's army? Ha! Take this pretty one alive. Kill that ugly creature at his side.
I think they're saying Ramses is the pretty one and I am the ugly creature. I think, if I'm not mistaken. So if you're wondering about the green bar, I've done... I for the video, I'm going to cut out the portions where we're working on the green bar. But the video continued to record, and I'm at an hour and 6 minutes 14 seconds on recording. So that should kind of give you an idea of how the green bars work, but also on how little content was actually released with this, because I'm at an hour, and that a bulk of that was green bar.
Starting a war, I imagine.
A bulk of that was time on the map that I should have spent, not because they made me, but because it was a good map. But of course that was not the case, and so thus I played the map because they made me as part of the story playthrough. I mean you're welcome to interpret how made me, how you feel about that, but in order to advance the story, I had to do stuff on the map. I should have done stuff on the map because it was fun. The problem with this map is it's not fun. That is the kind of the cliff notes here, and really the cliff notes for Secrets of the Obscure, and also just the easiest description of Secrets of the Obscure. Not fun. Hey, what's up, buddy? Oh, and he's gone. So apparently on this account I still have a problem with him popping up. By the way, we got mail. Is this related to the story? Oh yeah, that's something. We don't care about that. Okay.
I do not come to offer honeyed words. The truth is all he will hear, and all I will offer.
Okay, okay.
Move no further, and tell us, great lady, what truth is that?
that you all will join us in battle now, or join us in death.
If joining us in death is what you seek, step forward.
Hold, sister. We share the same house, as I hope we will share enemies on the battlefield.
Hope is worth little in these times, Peitha, of House Nayos.
General!
General Nayos, you're in danger. It is the Great Lady who is in danger. I'm surprised you showed your horns here. Speak quickly, before Labrys takes them as her trophy. I will not have yet another needless death on my conscience.
Your concern is appreciated, General, as always. But I cannot leave until you hear my proposal.
Cannot or will not. No matter, they're your horns, whether attached to your pretty head or crushed to powder under Epoch's heel. Well, speak, child. Did you expect a private audience in my palace? This is not your uncle's great hall. We have no such comforts here.
No. No, you do not. You have little more than crumbling walls and the weapons in your hands. Walls that keep your enemies out. No. Walls that keep you cowering within, waiting in fear. Until the day Epoch calls your name, drags you from your pitiful home, hauls you to his citadel, bleeding like cattle, spits your bones onto the piled corpses of our brothers and sisters.
How dare they! General, the Loyalists! To arms!
Stand and fight!
Oh no.
Ramses, push them back!
Stand down. Do not engage. You will not draw the ire of Epoch.
Oh, but I think you will. So interesting that is Peitha of House Nayos. He's General Nayos. And then there's like, is every Cryptus related?
General, we appear to be at an impasse, and I see you hesitate to press us. Shall we parley?
I have no wish for wanton bloodshed, Majesty.
The barrier
Let's get a good look at her.
breaks, and we arrive to find you already harboring traitors. What is this, if not a provocation to spill blood?
Huh.
General, Epoch needs no provocation to spill blood. Only thirst.
My lady, let's maintain some decorum. Your Majesty, Lady Peitha is an uninvited guest.
Nayos, your king and queen know you and our loyal subjects do not seek to upset our delicate truce. We have spared you when we could have done otherwise. We recognize you have stayed your hand today. So, we offer you a deal. Turn the traitor and her creatures over to us, and we leave you to your own devices. Obstruct us in any way. I'm sure you're well aware of the consequences of disappointing your king.
Peitha's presence here is unwanted, even feared.
I'm pleased we agree.
Feared because we all live in terror, at the mercy of the king's whims. Will he punish us, even for happenings out of our control?
Nayos, you overstep.
Uninvited she may be, but Peitha is a guest nonetheless. Labrys, it is you who oversteps. I will live in fear no longer. Eparch is not my king. Labris is not my queen. Majesty.
Circle, with me! Royal Guard, forward. Nephis dies. Anyone who stands with Nephis dies. Spare the rest.
Okay. So
You'll have to hit much harder.
yeah, we've talked about this a number of times when it comes to ArenaNet and their storytelling in Guild Wars 2, and it's worth mentioning it again here. There's an idea of show me, don't tell me, and I'm not the only one who's talked about this. I've heard a couple of other folks mention it as well in their videos and so forth. And they're right, and I'm right, and everybody's kind of right about this. We're told how monstrous, what's his name, Eparch or whatever, the king is. Eparch, yeah, Eparch. But thus far we haven't seen that. We've seen a place that's bad, for an assortment of reasons, certainly. But
You'll be doing that one for days.
do we know that Eparch is the cause? You know what I mean? If you want me to really hate Eparch and really be motivated for this fight, give me maybe a little more of that. I heard someone else in a video mention that it felt like they were trying to fit 2 expansions into 1 expansion, or a full expansion into a mini expansion, or something like that. And maybe that's the case, although I don't know that I would have wanted even more of this. But there's a lot of things that we don't get in this telling of this story.
Thank you, General.
For decades, I have protected these people. Your people. Now their blood is on our hands. You left me no choice, and you knew it. Just like your brother, your uncle. They're plotting, scheming, always ending in misery. You owe our people. Your family owes us. Bring us something other than death.
He will come quickly. If for no other reason than he sees that we must press our advantage while it still lingers. Soon we move. Be ready, Wayfinder. Labris burns with belief. Her flame will not be easily snuffed.
Alright, so we got General Nephis on our side.
Just one more
That's
confirmation
good.
of how
That's a
great
good thing to have. Is it the difference maker though in this fight? We don't know that, right? It's just the best thing that we could have going for us, and thus, oh yeah, let's spawn into an event. Super. And thus, we take what we can get. All right. I'm going to end this particular video here, and then we'll pick up the next part with another video. I'm probably going to get these 2 releases, I'm going to squeeze them into 3 videos. I think should be more than enough, and honestly 1 or 2 of those might end up a little short, but I don't want to overdo it, so let's wrap it up here while my dog and I stand on this. Man, that is real uncomfortable. Don't move, Poochie, or we're both going to fall.
If there are any astral ward in the area, we've got extractor towers here that we need to disable immediately.
So it turns out I'm in a bad spot to stand. Okay. Well, where can we go? Oh, maybe this branch. One of these branches. Should be able to hang out on. Yeah. There we go. Alright. Perfect. So, we'll wrap it up here. And when we come back, we will join General Nephis and see if we can't try and advance in this fight a little bit. So, alright, quick break. We'll be right back. We'll continue going forward. Thank you much.